Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom to you Hebrew Israelites. Got to give our praise to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, the great millstone who rule well, who teach well. And the sincere salutation to all the octane pushing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, waking up the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Akwa for our listening and learning. I'm Isaiah coming into another lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification. And this is, you Edomites can no longer hide behind being white or so-called Jews or Jewish. You Edomites can no longer hide behind being white or Jewish. Lord's witness be edified.
But who else are the real Shemites? There are other anti-Zionist, non-Ashkenazi, Torah-keeping Jews worldwide that are the true Shemites, just like the Yemenite Jews and the black African Shemites. I most probably shouldn't go here, but I will anyway. You see, after the destruction of the temple, yes, many of the Jews, the poor Jews, remained in the land, but there was a migration as well of the more affluent Jews to Yemen and to other parts of Africa. You see, the black African Shemites were actually then taken away in slave ships. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And who were the owners of these slave ships? Who were the biggest slavers in the 16th century? The Ashkenazi.
The so-called
biggest
Jews.
Slavers in the 16th and 17th century. Going into the 18th century.
Now he said the Shemite black Africans. And we know the Israelites come out of Shem. The Africans, they come from out of Ham. So you got an Edomite right here giving you straight truth.
You see, Ashkenazi slaving was huge. This is from, I have to be careful when I say this, so my sources, it's always best to go with Jewish sources, right? Because you just trod on a bunch of toes, so we'll go with the Jewish sources. There's a ton of sources out there, but I'll stick with the Jewish ones because that's just safe. The Jewish scholar Jonathan Shorshak says this: Jewish merchants routinely possessed enormous numbers of slaves temporarily before selling them off. If a slave auction fell on a Jewish festival, it was postponed due to lack of buyers and sellers. The Jews of Suriname gave their slave plantations Hebrew names such as Machanayim, Nachamu, and Goshen. Rabbi Herbert Bloom adds that the slave trade was one of the most important Jewish activities. In 1694, Jews owned 9,000 African Shemites.
The so-called Jews.
Jewish slaving is in fact confirmed by the Jewish Encyclopedia. So, in the days that we live, there's nothing more important than this Melchizedek message to the true Shemites. Because this Melchizedek message of the true Shemites is the solution.
And you see this Edomite, he's not saying Semite, he's saying Shemite. Now you don't hear Edomites talking like this. He could be a Jake. You don't hear Edomites saying Shemite, they always say Semite.
It is the solution to the Palestinian problem. It is the solution to the Black Lives Matter that is being fomented by the synagogue of Satan. It is the solution to racial tensions, segregation that is all part of the synagogue of Satan's plot for Yahweh's people to fight amongst themselves based upon the color of our skin. That is ridiculous, but that is what they want, so that we keep our minds off of them as the true slavers of Yahweh's people. When we all realize who's behind this racial and political fermentation, the synagogue of Satan. And when we join the priesthood together as Joseph's coat, we're victorious. Then we're victorious over the New World Order slavers, their Luciferic, Levitical perversion. You see, they're obsessed with blood. They're obsessed with their own blood, and they're obsessed with your blood. But they're not obsessed with Yahushua's blood.
So you got this Edomite giving you straight facts. So this is Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9, and it reads, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogues of Satan. Revelation 2 and 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them who say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogues of Satan. This is Revelation chapter 3 and verse 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved you. Now, the Hebrew Israelites don't call themselves Jews. We call ourselves Hebrew Israelites by the tribes, okay, by the respectable tribe. The Hebrew Israelites does not call themselves Jews. It's only one race of people on the planet that call themselves Jews, and that'll be the Edomites, the so-called white man. The Ashkenazi Jews, the Khazarians, the Edomites, they call themselves Jews. And we know, according to history, it's all in the Encyclopedia Britannica and the Jewish encyclopedias that John Hyrcanus, he converted the Edomites to Judaism. So when John Hyrcanus converted the Edomites, they took on the religion of Judaism, and through the time, they went from being Edomites to Jewish. So the Edomite kind of fell away, and they got from up under that name, which is their biblical name, Edomites. They got from up under that and became the so-called Jews, Jewish, Judaism. Okay, this is facts in the Encyclopedia Britannica, and it's in the Jewish Encyclopedia that they became converted. They was converted by John Hyrcanus, so they took on the law. He made them follow the laws of the Jews. He made them follow the laws of the Israelites. That's what he did. So over time, they left from being Edomites to Jewish, to Judaism. So this is Psalms chapter 79 in verse 1. O power, the heathen are coming to thy inheritance. The holy temple have they defiled. They have laid Jerusalem on heaps. The dead bodies of thy servants have they given to be meat unto the fowls of the heaven, the flesh of thy saints unto the beasts of the earth. Their blood have they shed like water round about. Their blood have they shed like water round about Jerusalem, and there was none to bury them. That's when they took down Jerusalem during 70 AD, and we had to flee into Africa and all other parts of the earth, man. We are becoming a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and derision to them that are round about us. How long, Yahweh, will thou be angry forever? Shall thy jealousy burn like fire? pour out thy wrath upon the heathen that have not known thee, and upon the kingdoms that have not called upon thy name. For they have devoured Jacob and laid waste his dwelling places. And that's what they did when they took down Jerusalem, man. Okay? So you got this Edomite letting you know that who was the ones that did this. He said the synagogues of Satan. He didn't want to say the synagogues of Satan, but these Edomites are the ones who took our heritage, man. They are the ones in Psalm 83 that said, come and let us cut them off of being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more remembrance. So this is Esau Edom. Okay, matter of fact, if he is an Edomite, he could be a Jake, who knows? But for the most part, this Edomite, this is Psalm 64 and 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And that's what you see going on right now. All these other nations is separating themselves from the Edomites, man. Because now they are making their own tongue to fall upon themselves. Now we know you got an Edomite that said that the nation of Edom is done away with, but according to the words of the Lord, the Edomites are not done away with. So when you go to Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 16, it reads, there is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before them. They also that come after them shall not rejoice in him. Surely this also is vanity and vexation of spirit. So the Lord say, there is no end of all the people. Okay? Now when you go to 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 14, it reads, and the Lord Yahweh stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad, the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. For it came to pass, when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was gone up to bury the slain, after he had smitten every male in Edom, for 6 months did Joab remain there with all Israel, until he had cut off every male in Edom. That Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him to go into Egypt, Hadad being yet a little child. Now, when you keep reading this story, tell you how he was in Egypt, man. Now we know Ptolemy. Ptolemy took over Egypt, which he was one of the generals of Antiochus. One of the generals of Alexander the Greek, man. Okay, so Ptolemy took over Egypt, man. That's who it was. The Edomites. You got a lot of people that believe that Cleopatra was a damn Jake, man. She was an Edomite, man. Cleopatra was an Edomite, okay? She was the daughter of Ptolemy, man. So these Edomites that talking about the Edomites were done away with, well, according to the scriptures, and who was Herod, man? Herod was an Edomite. Okay, this is in your history books. You Edomites wrote these books about the 1941, the 1945 encyclopedia. Okay, on page 25 they tell you that Edom is modern day Jewry, man. These are your books. A 1925 encyclopedia, page 41. You Edomites wrote these books, man. Okay, you got the Encyclopedia Britannica and you got the Jewish Encyclopedia. All these different encyclopedias, man, that tell you that the Edomites went all the way down to Herod, man. Okay, all the way to the Romans, man. You got the book, the Roman Empire, the Empire of the Edomites. So how the hell the Edomites were done away with if the Roman Empire was the Edomites, man? The Europeans, Edomites. So I'm going to play this again.
But who else are the real Shemites? There are other anti-Zionist, non-Ashkenazi, Torah-keeping Jews worldwide that are the true Shemites. Just like the Yemenite Jews and the black African Shemites. I most probably shouldn't go here, but I will anyway. You see, after the destruction of the temple, yes, many of the Jews, the poor Jews, remained in the land, but there was a migration as well of the more affluent Jews to Yemen and to other parts of Africa.
Oh, now he said to other parts of Africa. Now, just for edification's sake, because he said to other parts of Africa. So this is the Compact Bible Dictionary. Oh, Salakia. I meant to say, from Babylon to Timbuktu. Salakia. So this is from Babylon to Timbuktu. Now you just heard the Edomites said they fled into Africa, man. Okay, which they fled into other parts of the world too, man. So this is from Babylon to Timbuktu, page 84. And it reads, in the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD. General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave market was full of black Jewish slaves.
Other parts of Africa. You see, the black African Shemites were actually then taken away in slave ships. Deuteronomy.
Oh, yeah, it is. Deuteronomy 28 and 68, like he just said, man. And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold to your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. That word buy mean redeem. No man shall redeem you. Okay? Now, I'm going to finish this, and I got another point I'm going to make.
Chapter 28, verse 68. And who were the owners of these slave ships? Who were the biggest slavers in the 16th century?
You heard the guy in the back said Jews. The conquistadors and the Spaniards, man. Okay? Them was the biggest slave owners, man. Them was the slave owners. You got the sub-Saharan slave trade, and you got the transatlantic slave trade. And there's others, man. Okay?
The Ashkenazi were the biggest slavers in the 16th and 17th century.
The conquistadors and the Spaniards.
Going into the 18th century.
Ashkenazi, the Khazaris,
Ashkenazi slaving.
the Rothschilds.
This is from, I have to be careful when I say this, so my sources, it's always best to go with Jewish sources, right? Because you just trod on a bunch of toes, so we'll go with the Jewish sources. There's a ton of sources out there, but I'll stick with the Jewish ones because that's just safer. The Jewish scholar Jonathan Shorshak says this: Jewish merchants routinely possessed enormous numbers of slaves temporarily before selling them off. If a slave auction fell on a Jewish festival, it was postponed due to lack of buyers and sellers. The Jews of Suriname gave their slave plantations Hebrew names such as Machanaim, Nachamu, and Goshen. Rabbi Herbert Bloom adds that the slave trade was one of the most important Jewish activities. In 1694, Jews owned 9,000 African Shemites. Jewish slaving is in fact confirmed by the Jewish Encyclopedia. So, in the days that we live, there's nothing more important than this Melchizedek message to the true Shemites. Because this Melchizedek message of the true Shemites is the solution. It is the solution to the Palestinian problem. It is the solution to the Black Lives Matter that is being fomented by the synagogue of Satan. It is the solution to racial tensions, segregation, that is all part of the synagogue of Satan's plot for Yahweh's people to fight amongst themselves based upon the color of our skin.
And that's the curses on us, man.
Ridiculous.
We've
But
been
that
fighting
is what
amongst
they
each other
want, so that we
for
keep
generations,
our minds
man.
off of them as the true slavers of Yahweh's people. When we all realize who's behind this racial and political fermentation, the synagogue of Satan.
The Rothschild.
When we join the priesthood together as Joseph's coat, we're victorious. Then we're victorious over the New World Order slavers, their Luciferic, Levitical perversion. You see, they're obsessed with blood. They're obsessed with their own blood, and they're obsessed with your blood, but they're not obsessed.
Now I'm finna show you something. And that's beautiful. He said that. This is Isaiah 49 in verse Isaiah 49, and I'm going to start at 22. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh power, behold, I will lift up my hand to the Gentiles, and set up my standard to the people, and they shall bring thy sons in their arms, and thy daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders. And kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens their nursing mothers. For they shall bow down to thee with their face towards the earth, and lick up the dust of thy feet, and thou shalt be known that I am the Lord Yahweh, for they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. Now, the point I want to make, because he just said they are not ashamed of blood. They don't. No, Esau, Edom love blood, man. Okay, it say he in Habakkuk say he established the city by blood. Okay, he established the city by blood. Matter of fact, let me read it real quick. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and established a city by iniquity. Okay, when you read Ezekiel 35, man, it said blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. And that's what the Edomite telling you right now. Now this is back in Isaiah 49 verse 26, and it read, and I will feed them that oppress thee. Okay, listen to this. And I will feed them that oppress thee with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood, as with sweet wine. And all flesh shall know that I, the Lord Yahweh, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. Okay? And all flesh shall know that I, the Lord Yahweh, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. Okay? So he said he's going to make them drink their own blood, man. Now, going into the Apocrypha. When you go to 2nd Ezra, it said the same thing I just read right there. It's in 2nd Ezra. Let me see, I think it's 15. 2nd Ezra chapter 15. I'm going to start at verse 55. And it reads, the reward of thy whoredom shall be in thy bosom. Therefore shalt thou receive recompense. Talking to Esau, Edom. Like as thou hast done unto my chosen, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, even so shall power do unto thee, and shall deliver thee into mischief. Thy children shall die of hunger, and thou shalt fall through the sword. Thy city shall be broken down, and all thy shall perish with the sword in the field. They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger. It's talking about you Edomites going to your bunkers and going to the mountains, to all your doomsday prepping places that you got prepared for you. They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger and eat their own flesh and drink their own blood for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. Now I just read the same thing in Isaiah 49 and verse 26. Read it again. Isaiah 49 and 26. And I will feed them that oppress thee with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood, as with sweet wine. Okay? Again, 2 Ezra 15 and 58. They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood. So Ezra and Isaiah saying the same exact thing, man. Okay? Thou as unhappy shall come through the sea and receive plagues again. And in the passage thou shalt rush on the city, on the isle city, and shall destroy some portion. And shall destroy again, let me say, and in the passage thou shalt rush on the isle city, and shall destroy some portion of thy land, and consume part of thy glory, and shall return to Babylon that was destroyed. But the point was in 58 that they that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. That's talking about you Edomites, man, because of what you did. Now I was watching Apostle Tahar, and he went into Esther the 8th chapter on the blue letter. So I'm going to go into it and pull it up. So this is Esther chapter 8 verse 17. This when Haman was trying to kill one of the Israelites, one of the so-called Jews, one of the Jews, Salakia. And Esther was with the king at the time. So what he said and what it said was, in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree come, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day, and many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. Now, when you look at the first Jew, it go back to Yahweh, which is H3064. Go to tap on it. H3064, and it's a Yehudi, which we know that's Yahweh. So it's a Jew, a Judite, okay? A Judite or Jew or descendants of Yahweh. That's what it's saying. Now I'm gonna go back to the other Jew, which is I think it's H30. So that Jew right there is H3064. And this Jew right here is H3054. This was the ones that became Jews. Because this showing you, this is a good example of how John Hyrcanus converted the Edomites and they became Jewish or so-called Jews. So this Jew right here is H3054. It's a Yahad, right? To become a Jew, in fact, or in fraud, become Judaize. Okay? It said become, hey, this show you, man. It say become Jews. Okay? To become a Jew, in fact, or in fraud, become Judaize. It say become Jewish or Judaize. So listen, man. You Edomites can't hide behind that white or you the Jews, man. You are not the Jews. Okay? You are heathens, man. You are converts. You was converted, man. Okay? John Hyrcanus, it tell you when you read it that he took down you Edomites and he converted you to follow the ways of Israelites, man. And over time, y'all name got diminished, or y'all name, the word Edom or Edomite just faded away, and you became Judaism. You became Jewish. Okay? That's where this come from, man. You so-called Jews. Hey, so with that, I want to give our praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well. In the sincere salutation to all the archon, pushing the truth, but the four winds of the earth, breaking up the hope for the elect. Shalom to the Akwa for our listening and learning. Shalom.